allowing game publishers, game studios, developers to one click publish their games across a network of different applications. Origin story is a pretty interesting one. Team and I have been in the crypto space for quite a long time. We all actually met around the 2017 early days in crypto and have been through the different, um, I'd say the different cycles in GameFi, right? So we've definitely seen gaming from its origins. We've seen digital assets from their origins, and I think the team and I, have a very big background, mostly coming from tech and gaming specifically. So we, kind of dabbled in a few things early days in terms of guilds and in terms of developing of games, and really realized that there is a huge, kind of gap in the market. Number one, from a content standpoint in Web3 games, in so that a lot of the games that were coming into Web3 were just purely built for Web3. And there was very difficult, or we weren't seeing enough Web2 content coming into the space. So from our angle, we started looking at the mini game market, which is a, very quickly and highly growing market, specifically in Asia. Obviously, last year we had maybe a big kind of boom in the Telegram ecosystem and in the, in the Web3 space for mini apps or mini programs coming into environments like Telegram. But I think early days we had picked up more the technology of it, right? So what we see happening in the West today is, there's a big demand for mini programs, mini games, mini everything, but there is no tech capability to host this kind of programming within application. And when you look at the best example or the best case study, there's only one, which is WeChat. WeChat as a super app is probably the best, or is for sure the king of hosting various programs within one application, especially when it comes to its mini game environment, right? So to give you a bit of a background, mini games in WeChat alone were around 6 billion last year as a market. They're looking at around $10 billion market this year. So you can see that game studios, game developers in China are very much reliant on the WeChat style and are building games that directly suit, WeChat's application, because they can publish their games directly into WeChat as a Unity game or any engine game, rather than having to deploy as a web version or a web-based game. Uh, and that as a problem alone, number one, is, you're as a developer, you're able to really, build very high sophisticated, high quality, good graphic games that you want your, the new users experience good games. And when you kind of look at what we have available in the West today in terms of web view or web-based HTML5 games, you have to, unfortunately, they are, you're subject to kind of playing at lower quality because the apps cannot hold the size. And so what plays out is essentially an infrastructure play that allows any app to have the capability to run mini games within its application, just like WeChat does. This then allows any publisher, and obviously we have numerous publishing studios as partners that can bring their games and globally distribute their games across the globe, right? So that is really the essence of what plays out is it's allowing game publishers, game studios, developers to one click publish their games across a network of different applications. And that, number one, obviously allows them to earn revenue on the blockchain. It allows them to expedite the process of globalizing their game and their content and creating more content for global demand. And on the vice versa side is allowing IP or global IP to come into the mini game environment as well. So today, for example, we see a lot of Western IP looking at mini games or mini applications as a way to user acquisition into like an anchor into a larger piece. So, for example, if you have a large game, a large film, a large whatever piece of content, then a mini game is usually a very good user acquisition tool to bring any user inside the long form. Number one, it's because obviously you get familiarity with the content. You kind of start to get to understand, and our thesis is built on attention economy. Obviously, today, people's attention is completely lost. I think even from when I started talking to now, you probably forgot half of what I said because no one has attention anymore. So we really are trying to solve that aspect by creating short, snappable pieces of content that allow you to create, repetitive awareness or affiliation with specific IP. Yeah, that was a very long explanation, but I hope you got it, and it's pretty much a 101 lesson. No, it's not about competing against WeChat or Meituan, right? It's really about giving global applications the ability that WeChat, Meituan, and others like TikTok in China have, right? They have this technology that I think it's inaccessible in the West. People don't have it because they also do not even they have not looked at super apps just yet. We're very slow in this transition of super apps in the West. So a lot of the applications today, any wallets or e-commerce platforms or ride hailing like Uber and Uber Eats and all of these applications are definitely looking at gaming, but they don't understand the technology that it takes to embed high quality games or let's say direct from the engine onto the app. And what Playsout does is it gives them that capability as an infra basically. So we just come in and we embed our SDK into your app, and then number one, you're able to host the games, and then we plug the games into your environment as well. I think, traditionally, like when you look at Plays Out, it is built on a traditional publishing model, right? So the first way that we looked at it is, listen, how can we bring most of these games out and all of these IPs back in? And that is a traditional Web2 model. So, on one hand, we look to integrate with applications that are usually Web2 related, e-commerce platforms, Uber, Careem, whatever it is, uh, food delivery, all of that. And I guess the important thesis from there is that we, create a gamified ecosystem within those apps that are then connected to their reward system, right? So, for example, if you're on let's say Uber, right, and you're waiting for a car, it's let's say 8 minutes to arrive, and you get pushed to play games, then I think what's important for the user isn't usually like anything to do with crypto. More, they are willing to play games to get incentive off of like the same ecosystem. So, for example, percentage off of Uber Eats or percentage within the rides, like discounts on rides and things like that. So when you connect the rewarding system to the I guess the reward system of the app, the game reward system to the reward system of the app, then it becomes a gamified system, right? So that's from a Web2 perspective, as plays out within Web2 regulated or non-Web3 regulated businesses. We do plug in the games, we earn revenue share off of that, and then our revenue is plugged back into our token. So we bring that into our treasury as Web2 revenue into Web3. Now, on the other hand, you have obviously plenty of Web3 businesses and applications that are existing and coming up, right? So I'd say the quickest and most best example is probably wallet ecosystems. So when you look at examples like Base, right? Base wallet just transitioned into Base app, right? OKX wallet is also, for example, becoming more of a consumer application. And why is that? I think that is because especially as crypto applications, you don't only want to adhere to the tiny Web3 traffic or community, right? You want to open up your product to the globe, to Web2 users and Web3 users. And I think initially, like what we did there is, okay, as a base wallet, you would only be able to go in and trade base products inside that wallet. Same with OKX, same with Binance, etc. And so when you start to create a consumer application there, then it becomes a bit more inclusive, right? Like it becomes more open to other users to come in, experience different things, maybe play a few games, and then they are able to enter like things like trading and get triggered into OKX specific or Binance or Base App, whatever specific products. So it's the same kind of model, but it is done within a Web3 environment as well. And I would say, obviously, like that's the layer one, but there's a whole other layer when it comes down to bringing this content and these games on chain, right? So one part of it, like if you want to think about the plays out revenue is and our token model is one part of it is obviously that we are able to generate real revenue and bring that revenue back into our token model, which is a big part of our tokenomics. And part two is to actually bring gaming content on chain, and that is a completely different model. And that is something that we are doing with, our ecosystem layer ones in terms of providing content and continuous content for them to bring on chain and allow their users to, earn, mint, play tournaments, do quests, do all of this cool stuff. Um, just to like as a last add-on there, for example, we've done a lot of different activations already. The last one that we did was the first game, right? So we just announced a game for Doge, which is a Doge animated game, and that is made with our partners at DogeOS. And so, DogeOS is a layer two, but they essentially what works for them is to actually bring elements of the game on chain. And so when it comes to that, like you can think of mini games are very easy to play, easy to understand. So we would look at bringing characters, reward system points, and things like that on chain. So when you're playing, they become tradable, they become rare and all that kind of stuff. You can build markets around them, which I think is pretty fun, and it's super. It's everything that's around like decentralized publishing and what we're trying to do. I think like what is special about us is that we have such an access to huge amounts of content, right? So different type of game categories. Because essentially, like when you look at it, Zoe, what's different is what I like to play is going to be what is going to be different to what you like to play, right? Everybody likes to play different games. So for us, the most important thing is when it comes down to application that wants to have games. Number one is to give them the capability so that they can host these games. But number two, and the most important part, is to allow them to find a matchmaking that allows the games to be that are published in that space to be matching with what their community wants to play. So for example, like when you look at the Doge community, they all like to play Doge related games, number one. And number two, they like action and puzzles and things like that. When you look at Uber, for example, is going to be a completely different consumer behavior, traffic behavior. And so the games that are going to be published on this app are going to be completely different than what's published on the other app, just because the behavior of the traffic or the audience preference is completely different. And what we do there is we use data over time to analyze, what games are performing better in this application so that we can continue to optimize and bring those kinds of games to the user. So over time, there's a better kind of like matchmaking from the game content and the application itself. I wouldn't say that, of course, being a founder and being a part of, within something that is, I consider ourselves a market leading product, right? There's no one doing what we are doing in the space. So I think the biggest challenge is that sometimes when you're leading a segment or a sector is kind of like discoverability or working with another party, right? Each application that we work with are different. Some of them are completely are very fast and have a good idea of how they want to execute their gaming strategy. So it's a very quick turnaround. Others actually have no idea, right? So they need a bit more hand holding when it comes down to the technical implementation, when it comes down to mostly the UX UI, right? So I said it earlier, but what is very important here is a lot of people saying, okay, look, you're going to bring games into an application, right? Like if you bring games into Uber or if you bring games into OKX Wallet, uh, who cares, right? No one's going to play games in these places. So the games kind of are siloed. Uh, but what makes them function well is when you are able to, connect the UX UI of the application to the games section very well. So it's super seamless. So for example, if you're waiting for a car, 8 minutes, you get pushed the game. It's like it feels like a part of the journey. That's number one. And number two is that it's connected to the reward system, right? I'm not just going and playing games randomly, but I'm going to play games so that I can also get rewarded or I can get some incentive within that ecosystem. And when that happens, the real advantage that we provide to applications and traffic is that we're increasing the in-app time, like retention, number one. We're increasing time on screen, right? So if you're in an Uber application, instead of going to like Instagram or TikTok or calling somebody, you stay in the app, right? So you increase app time, you increase retention time, and you are able to activate other areas of the business, right? So like perfect example. I don't know why I keep using Uber. Sorry, it's not Web3, but it's just one that probably everybody will understand it, right? It's just super clear. Um, but imagine you're waiting, you play a few games, and it says, Zoe, you earned 20% off of Uber Eats, right? So all of a sudden, I'm converting you into a Uber Eats customer, or I'm converting you into like a OKX Pay customer, or I'm converting you into, you know, anything, but I'm moving you inside my environment, which is what I think games are perfect for, especially mini games, right? They're really such a perfect way to keep a user inside, let them, kill dead time and earn within your environment, just like increase the loyalty within your guys. So that works across Web2 and Web3, from Uber, airlines, e-commerce to to wallets, L1s, and the rest of them. Everybody's trying to keep their users retained and reward. Yeah, well, I have to give it up to you, Zoe, KJ, the team, and One Piece. I've been super supportive, especially like plays out in early days. We had some great support. Really, I think what's the most important thing, I think, for anyone that's building something or builders, developers, founders, whatever, is to have good people around them that can really point and show the weakness, right? I think a lot of people have a difficulty because not many people are willing to tell you the truth, right? They'll just say, yeah, yeah, sure, your project is good or your deck is good, yeah, just go away. They don't really care. But what One Piece was really supportive of us in terms of really looking at our project materials, our go-to-market strategy, our execution plan, and pointing out what they thought were the gaps and the gray areas that we needed to fix. And then obviously being along the ride, and I think One Piece has always supported us on crypto Twitter and being in events and like traveling the globe together. We've always gotten amazing opportunities to speak together and be a part of the events, which is always super beneficial to any project, any founder, especially that connectivity piece. Zero G is an amazing project. We're super big fans of Zero G. Michael and the team have really killed it. They were super supportive during this, I guess, cohort and program. Um, I'm not going to say too much right now because a lot of the stuff is not announced yet. So I prefer that all of you guys that are listening can follow and slowly you'll see what's cooking. But I do wish the Zero G an amazing journey towards their TGE at some point. And we're hoping to do some really cool things with them as soon as they are on mainnet. We just TGE'd actually about a month and a bit ago. We've been doing really well. We built amazing fundamentals. Our chart looks like the Mona Lisa. And so we're super happy about that. I think we're all very proud of the journey so far. And obviously our launch was super successful. And now, a lot of projects, a lot of people think that TGE is like the big milestone, but unfortunately for everybody, TGE is actually where is the starting point, right? It's the starting line. Um, and so, since then, we have just been announcing a lot of cool partnerships, growing our ecosystem. Um, and you haven't seen anything yet. Like, we haven't released much just yet. Like, our product is kind of coming out and rolling out. But then again, from an infrastructure perspective, I think a lot of people underestimate how long it takes to build infrastructure. Whereas, we're super fast. We have been, kind of deploying our tech. We are partnering with some amazing IPs that you can see on Twitter and other areas, and probably our PR as well. We've been doing some really good stuff with, B3, Doge, Eros now. I can't name them all, but we're super excited of what we have, and I think even more so what's to come. We have some really, really exciting, a huge, not even exciting, we have a really huge pipeline coming up. And 12 months is, I mean, I feel like every month feels like a year to me. So let's take it one month at a time. Although it's going to be Korea and Singapore and all of this stuff coming up soon. So that's going to be feels like 2 years inside those conferences sometimes. Look, I think I don't want to give you guys any gaming or anything like that, but I'll give you founder related, um, I guess, advice. And my advice, like to myself all the time, is that progress compounds. And it is not easy to be a founder. It is actually sometimes the most difficult journey. It's so up and down. Sometimes you're on Mount Everest. Sometimes you want to you want to like shoot yourself. You don't know what you're doing. But what I say to everybody that's building, what I say to everyone that's in the trenches and really going for it is take one day at a time, put one step forward every day, and progress, even the smallest progress compounds just like money does, right? So make sure that you're just making small steps forward, small achievements per day. And over the course of 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, you'll be surprised at what you can do. Uh, I think that was extensive enough for everybody. I'm pretty sure, like I said, attention is very tough these days. So
Mhm.
I doubt anyone's going to listen to this whole thing. But if you do, I appreciate it. And, follow us in our journey. And if anyone ever wants to collaborate, hang, talk, ask any advice, questions, whatever, feel free to DM me on Twitter. And I'm always open.